Shalom, shalom. This is More Yochanan, and I am continuing the lesson series we're doing on the Vav. You should have already finished part 1, and now this is going into part 2. So these exercises, as you know, they work best if you follow along with me and repeat everything aloud that I'm telling you to say. Your ear must hear what your mouth is saying. This is the best way to learn how to speak Hebrew. Okay? You can always show your support via Cash App. All right. Some prerequisites for this course. Before taking this course, you should have already mastered the 22 alphabet and what sounds they make. Okay? You should also have a working knowledge of all the Nikud. Understanding them is vital near the end of the course, and that's what we're going toward today, is reading the Hebrew text with the Nikud. So you should have some knowledge of the Nikud. Also, you should have finished part 1 of this lesson series. And lastly, you should be familiar with the Hebrew prefixes and suffixes, because we're going to go through that as well today. Okay? Some class norms. The Vav is the most versatile of the orthographs in the Hebrew language. 2 native sounds we've discussed, the V and the Wa. And it can also be represented, the Vav can also be represented with these sounds, the U, or the Cholam Vav is O. The Vav with the Shava is V. And then the Vav without the diacritic marks, we default to O. Okay? Our transliteration comes from the perspective of English speakers, and it's always subject to error and debate. So you might talk to somebody who is a native Hebrew speaker, and they will disagree with some of our rules. But that is a debate that is not worth debating over. Okay? Lastly, if you would like to leave a comment or question, you can always email me. All right. So we talked about the Vav without the diacritical marks. Remember, the rule was if ever you see a Vav in between 2 consonants, that Vav always makes the O sound. And one of the examples was shore, right? Shin, Vav, and Resh. And the Vav always makes an O sound. And we came up with O, shore. So now we're going to deal with this Vav here, this Vav with the Dagesh next to it. All right, the Vav with the Dagesh always makes the U sound, okay? U, as in food or as in good, okay? Whenever you see a Vav, and when you see a Vav with the Dagesh, you are more than likely to see the Nikud on all of the letters. Okay, so there's no need to think that you'll see that they will put the Dagesh on the Vav and they won't put the Nikud on any of the other letters. If you see the Dagesh next to the Vav, you'll probably more than likely see the entire Nikud on the entire writing. Okay. So at the beginning of a word, if you see this Vav with the Dagesh at the beginning of a word, it means and. Okay? If you see this Vav with the Dagesh at the end of words, it means we or our. And I'm going to explain that to you. Okay? At the beginning of words, it means and. At the end of words, it means we or our. Okay? So we're going to look at an example of these 2 scenarios. Here is the Vav with the Dagesh at the beginning of a word. And this means and. And it always makes an oo sound. Whether it's at the beginning or the end, it always makes an oo sound. So here we have the vav with the dagesh always makes the oo sound. So this sound here that's orange is oo. At the beginning of words, it means and. Okay? At the beginning of words, this prefix means and. Be or ve, right? This ve means in or with, right? It means in or with. Call means, or let's go like this. It says sound call. So here we have the call. The kaf makes the k sound. The chamatz underneath the kaf makes an ah sound, and then the lamed makes the l sound. So we have call, and this word is pronounced uv call. Uv call. Okay? Uv vekal, right, if you will. Uvekal. Uvekal. And remember, the bait and the vait are interchangeable, so you'll kind of see it sometimes like this. Sometimes you'll see it like that, okay? Remember, the apostrophe can also represent the shiva. There are a lot of ways to transliterate the Hebrew. And so that's why I'm putting all these different ways up there so that you won't be taken aback when you see it a different way, perhaps. Okay? Uvekal, and in with, or and with all, right? And with all, or and in all. Okay? Now, we have an example of the vav dagesh at the end of a word. Now this word is Eloheinu. E is the aleph, lo, hey, nu. Okay? Eloheinu. And here's the new. Here's the new. It's orange. It says here, this suffix is added to words in Hebrew to show who is in possession. So nu means we or our. Now, I've given you a chart here so that you can see all of the pronominal suffixes. Here is a list of pronominal endings. Pronominal is a fancy word. All pronominal means is pronoun. If you remember in English class, there were 8 parts of speech, right? Prepositions, verbs, adverbs, adjectives, pronouns, nouns, interjections, so on and so in conjunctions, right? There was 8 parts of speech. Well, a pronoun is one of those parts of speech. And some of the English language pronouns are I, my, you, he, she, we, our, they, them, ours, so on and so forth. So in Hebrew, when you are trying to express these English type pronouns, there are certain endings that you put on the words to show which pronoun is being applied to that word. Pronominal suffixes refer to a person or thing and can be attached to nouns, verbs, and prepositions. So if I were to go back to Eloheinu, what you're seeing in this word is here you have El, which is God or power, right? Or if you will, Elohim, right? But when you have the nu right here, the nu represents the Hebrew pronoun anachnu, which is our, right? Or we. And that's what you see right here. I think I have it highlighted. There you go. It's orange. Nu. So whenever you see a verb, a noun, or a preposition, and you see one of these endings on it, you can describe that these endings mean they or you all or we, or our, I, you, he, or she. Okay, and so you'll see a lot of Hebrew words, and you'll find the root word, and then you have these extra letters dangling on the end, and these letters are the pronominal suffixes. You also have pronominal prefixes. Okay, you have attachments that go at the end of words, and you have attachments that go at the beginning of words. All right, so this flashing orange is the new. All right, let's move forward. So we are going to break down this verse, and we're going to show how the Vav is how versatile the Vav is. Okay, and I chose this verse because this verse uses the Vav in all of the different ways you will see the Vav being used. And so we're going to identify the Vavs first, and then we're going to read this using the Nikud and break down what it all means, okay? And I know I don't want you to be overwhelmed. I know it seems like a lot of writing going on here, but as we start decoding this, I promise you, you're not going to be overwhelmed, okay? So bear with me. Here we go. So first, I want to identify all of the vowels that make the oo sound. All of the instances of vav making the oo sound are highlighted orange. They're flashing. You can see all of the vavs making the oo sound. The next set of vowels flashing are going to be vowels that are there that make something like the O sound. All of the vowels you see that are flashing green, these vowels make the O sound. This is your Holam vav. These vowels flashing yellow, you have one vav that is the ve at the beginning here. Follow my cursor. This vav here is the ve, and the other yellow vowels you see, they all say oo, but all of these vowels mean and, A-N-D, and. So even though they make different sounds, they have different nikud applied to them, these vowels all are saying the same thing, and. Okay, so now we're going to try to read this. It says here, and the haya. Hey with the kamats, and then yud with the kamats and the hey here. Haya. And it shall come to pass. And is ve. Haya. It shall come to pass, or it shall be. Be is in. That is a prenominal prefix. In yom. Now, what you see here, this dagesh in the bait makes this a B, and this dagesh in the yud, this dagesh does not change the sound of yud, but this dagesh in the yud, what it does, it lets you know that this yud sound is going to be applied to the bay, and it's going to be applied to the rest of the word. So this is like a word in English, for instance, summit, right? Where you have the double M and you pronounce both M's. Summit, right? And so you'll see a few instances in this verse where some letters have a dagesh, like this shin. And this means you're going to say the SH twice. So, one second, guys. Excuse me. I'm still battling a cold, guys, but I'm going to endure. So let's go back to the beginning of this, and we'll push forward. Ve haya, it shall come to pass. Be is in. Be yom. In yom is that day, or in the day. Be yom. Ha is that. Who. Ha who. That he. Yo, and here you have the hold-on valve making the O sound. The U makes the Y. The hold-on valve makes it O. So you have Yo, Sif, and this might sound like the name Joseph because it means the same thing. Joseph in Hebrew, Joseph means to add. And this verse here, Yosef means to do again or to add again, right? Yosef, so shall add Adonai, okay? Adonai. If you remember from our earlier lesson that when you see this nikud here, we skip over the shiva and we look at the patak and we apply the patak. We don't apply the shiva. Okay, so this is a. Then you have dalit with the holam dot on top of it. Adonai, or the Lord. Shenit, and Shenit comes from the number system, right? You have number 1 is Rishon, right? Then you have Sheni is 2. Shlishi is 3. So this is Shenit, or the second. Yado, right? Yado, this means hand, but we have the pronominal suffix o, which if you recall from our chart, the o is he, right? Or his hand, yad being hand, and o being his, so the hand that belongs to him. So we have Adonai, the Lord, his hand, the Lord, the second time, his hand, this is leak note, to recover. This is the infinitive form of to recover. Leak note. And there we have the holam vav making the O sound. Leak note. Et, this is it. Et. She'ar. Okay? She'ar. The remainder or the remnant, right? Et she'ar. It, the remnant. In Hebrew, you have to put the it on the object that's receiving. The receiving object has to have it in front of it. All right? Amo, his people. Right? Ami is my people. Ami. Right? Amo is his people. And this ending, this O ending, is the same ending as you have in Yado. Yado, his hand. And over here you have Amo, his people. And inside the mem, you see the dagesh. And that dagesh means that you are to say the M twice. Am-mo. Am-mo. So that's his people. Asher, right? Asher. Who or which. Ye. Oh, here we have the dagesh again in the shin. So it's going to be yish sha'ar, right? Which shall remain. And this is the same This is the same root word as this root word, right? Which is remnant. Let's go back and see. Look, the remainder, and then we have that remain, right? And then we have a prefix here, right? The me, when you see the mem in front of a word, mem means from, right? So we have amo, his people, which asher, yishar, shall remain, from Ashur. Here you have the same dagesh, Ashur, which is Ashur, Assyria. From Assyria, Ashur, U, which is and, from me, U me Mitzrayim. Meets, remember the Shiva we stopped? Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim. Now we have this im, this yud, shidduch, mem sofi. When you see this suffix applied to the end of a word, it makes it plural, like applying the s to something in English. So Mitzrayim, we all know is Egypt. Okay, which shall be left from Assyria. Here's Assyria, Ashur, and from Mitzrayim. Here we go. And me patros, 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 and from Patros, and from Cush or Ethiopia. And there is the vav with the dagesh being used twice. Me Cush. Me Cush. Me Cush. Me and from Elam. Elam. And from Elam. Me and from Shinar. Shinar. And from me Chamat. Chamat. And from Chamat. Me and from. Now here we have Iyi. Iyi. Iyi is from the coastline or from the islands, if you will. From the coastline. Iyi ha the sea. Yam. Yam is sea. Okay? So let's read this one more time, and I'm going to end this video. All right? Here we have Vehaya beyam hahu Yosef Adonai Shanit Yado Liknot et Sha'ar Amo Asher Yishar. That's a very hard one right there. Look at that. Yishar. Okay, Yishar. Me Ashur. Me Ashur. From Asher, from Assyria. Me Ashur. Me Ashur. Me Misraim. Me Patros. Me Cush. Me Elam. Me Shinar. Me Hamath. Me Iyi. Hayam. And from the islands of the sea, or from the coastline of the sea. I hope that was informative. I apologize if it was choppy. I'm still going through this spring cold season. All right. That was the end of part 2 on our series of Evolve. In part 3, we will review our forms and we'll have a little question and answer session. Okay. Thanks for watching my videos. Please like and subscribe to my channel for more videos. I try to upload a video every day. For better content or for content better suited to your learning acquisition needs, you can always email me. Okay? If you support free education, show your support. Send me a little cash out, a little blessing. All blessing sizes are acceptable and appreciated. Until then, I would like to say, Lehitro